My friends, there are moments in life when we feel like every door is closed, when every path forward seems blocked, and no matter how hard we try, breakthrough feels impossible. Maybe you're facing financial hardship, maybe your relationships are struggling, maybe your heart is burdened with fear, doubt, or uncertainty. But I'm here to tell you that there is a way forward. There is a power greater than any obstacle, a name above all names, and when you declare it in faith, doors that seemed locked forever will begin to open before you. Throughout history, those who walked in faith spoke words of victory before they ever saw it. When the walls of Jericho stood tall, the people didn't stay silent in fear. They lifted their voices and declared God's power. And what happened? The walls came down. When Peter was sinking in the storm, he didn't struggle in his own strength. He called out in faith, and he was lifted up. The same power is available to you today. There are 3 words you need to say 3 times with belief in your heart. Lord, make a way. Say it not as empty words, but as a declaration of faith. When you say it, you're not just speaking to yourself. You're calling on the one who holds the keys to every locked door. You're inviting his presence into your situation, and where he moves, no obstacle can remain. You may ask, how can something so simple make a difference? Because faith is not about complexity. It's about trust. It's about knowing that even when you can't see the way forward, God already has a plan. When you declare, Lord, make a way, you are aligning your heart with his promises. And his word tells us that when we ask in faith, we will receive. So today, no matter what you're facing, say it, Lord, make a way. Lord, make a way. Lord, make a way. Speak it over your family, over your finances, over your struggles, and watch as doors begin to open, as burdens begin to lift, as miracles unfold before your eyes. Do not let doubt silence you. Speak with boldness, walk in faith, and know that when you trust in him, no door can remain closed forever. There are moments in life when we feel stuck, trapped behind doors that refuse to open. We push, we strive, we try every possible solution, yet nothing seems to change. Maybe it's a job opportunity that keeps slipping away. Maybe it's a relationship that feels distant and broken. Maybe it's a financial burden that weighs heavy on your shoulders. In these moments, it's easy to believe that the doors will never open, that no matter how hard we try, we will remain where we are. But this is not the truth. The truth is that no door is permanently closed when God is involved. He is the one who holds the keys to every locked place in our lives. He is the one who opens doors that no man can shut and shuts doors that no man can open. When we try to force things in our own strength, we end up exhausted and frustrated. But when we shift our focus to faith and surrender, we invite God to work in ways we never imagined. Sometimes closed doors are not meant to block us, but to redirect us. What looks like rejection may actually be protection. What seems like a delay may be divine preparation. We may not always understand why certain doors remain shut, but we can trust that God sees the full picture. He knows what is best for us, and when the time is right, he will make a way where there seems to be no way. In Scripture, we see countless stories of God making a way when all seemed lost. The Israelites stood before the Red Sea with an army behind them, trapped with nowhere to go. But in that moment, God opened a path through the sea. Joseph was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery and imprisoned, yet God used every step of his journey to position him for his purpose. These stories remind us that just because a door is closed today does not mean it will remain closed forever. Faith is the key that unlocks the impossible. When we declare in faith, Lord, make a way, we are not just speaking empty words. We are calling upon the one who has the power to shift circumstances, move mountains, and open doors that no human effort could. Our responsibility is not to force the door open, but to trust and believe that God will open the right one at the right time. Throughout history, those who walked in faith did not wait for the breakthrough to happen before they believed. They believed first, and then the breakthrough came. Faith always precedes the miracle. When we look at the great moments in Scripture, we see that the people who experienced God's power did not sit back and wait for change. They stepped forward, spoke in faith, and trusted that he would act. Their words and actions reflected a deep confidence that God would fulfill his promises. Think about the walls of Jericho. The Israelites were given an instruction that seemed unusual. They were told to march around the city walls for 7 days, and on the 7th day, they were to shout in victory. The walls had not yet fallen, but they shouted in faith, believing that God would do what he had promised. And what happened? The walls came crashing down. Their words of faith unlocked a supernatural move of God. Consider Moses standing at the edge of the Red Sea with the Egyptian army closing in behind him. In the natural, there was no way out, but Moses did not speak words of fear. He lifted his staff and declared the power of God. And in response, the waters parted, creating a path of escape. It wasn't Moses' strength that performed the miracle. It was his faith-filled obedience that allowed God to move. When David stood before Goliath, he didn't tremble in fear like the rest of Israel's army. He didn't let doubt take over. Instead, he spoke with boldness, declaring that the same God who had delivered him before would do it again. Before the giant even fell, David was already speaking victory. He did not wait to see the result before he believed. He believed first, and then the battle was won. The pattern is clear. When we declare victory in faith, we align ourselves with the promises of God. When we say, Lord, make a way, we are following the same example as those who saw miracles unfold in their lives. We are speaking into existence what we do not yet see, trusting that God is working behind the scenes. Just as he did in the past, he will do it again. He is still the God who brings walls down, who parts seas, who defeats giants, and who opens doors that no one can shut. When we say, Lord, make a way 3 times with faith, we are not just speaking words. We are activating our belief in God's power. Words have power, but faith-filled words have the ability to move heaven. This is not a ritual or a magic phrase. It is a declaration of trust in the one who holds all authority. When we speak these words with conviction, we are not reminding God of his power. He already knows it. We are reminding ourselves of who he is, what he has done, and what he is capable of doing again. There is something powerful about repetition in faith. Jesus himself taught about persistence in prayer. He shared the parable of a persistent widow who kept coming to a judge asking for justice. She did not stop after one request. She kept coming back, and because of her persistence, she received what she asked for. Likewise, when we declare, Lord, make a way, we are not repeating it out of doubt, but out of faith. Each time we say it, we are reinforcing our trust in him, pushing back against fear and standing firm on his promises. In the Bible, Elijah prayed for rain after a long drought. He didn't just pray once and walk away. He prayed and sent his servant to check for signs of rain. When there was nothing, he prayed again. He repeated this process 7 times until a small cloud appeared in the sky. His faith-filled persistence brought about a breakthrough. In the same way, when we declare, Lord, make a way, multiple times we are not begging, we are standing firm in faith, knowing that God hears us and will act in his perfect timing. God responds to faith. He is drawn to those who trust in him completely. When the woman with the issue of blood reached out and touched Jesus' robe, it wasn't just the physical touch that healed her, it was the faith behind it. Jesus turned to her and said, your faith has made you well. The power of faith-filled words and actions is undeniable. So when you say, Lord, make a way, say it with full confidence, say it with expectation. Let it be a declaration that you believe he is already working, even when you can't see it yet. When you speak it in faith, you align yourself with his promises and you open the door for him to do the impossible in your life. Faith is not about understanding every step before we take it. It's about trust. Many times we hesitate to move forward because we want to see the full picture first. We want to know how everything will work out before we take a step. But faith does not work that way. Faith is stepping out even when the path is unclear, believing that God is guiding us. When we declare, Lord, make a way, we are not just asking for an open door. We are surrendering control, acknowledging that his plan is greater than ours. Think of Abraham. God called him to leave his homeland and go to a place that he would show him. Abraham didn't have all the details. He didn't know exactly where he was going, but he trusted God's direction. Because of his obedience, he became the father of many nations. His faith opened the door to promises he could have never achieved on his own. When Peter saw Jesus walking on water, he wanted to step out and do the same, but the moment he took his eyes off Jesus and focused on the wind and the waves, he began to sink. Why? Because he let doubt replace faith. The storm was real, but Jesus' power was greater. When we fix our eyes on God instead of our circumstances, we will see doors open that seemed impossible. Trusting God does not mean there won't be obstacles. It does not mean the road will always be smooth. But it does mean that no matter what happens, we are not alone. When the Israelites stood at the Red Sea, they saw an impossible situation. But when Moses lifted his staff in faith, God made a way. When Joshua faced the walls of Jericho, it seemed impossible to bring them down. But through obedience and trust, the walls fell. Every great move of God in Scripture was preceded by faith and obedience. So when we say, Lord, make a way, we are choosing faith over fear. We are choosing trust over control. We are declaring that even if we don't see the whole picture, we believe God is leading us to something greater. His ways are higher. His timing is perfect. And when we trust in him fully, he will open the right doors at the right time. No matter what you're facing, do not stay silent in fear or discouragement. The words we speak shape the reality we live in. If we constantly speak words of doubt, defeat, and fear, we reinforce the barriers in front of us. But when we declare faith, when we speak God's promises over our lives, we align ourselves with his power and his purpose. That's why saying, Lord, make a way is not just a prayer, it is a proclamation of victory before we even see it. The enemy wants to silence you. He wants you to believe that your situation is hopeless, that nothing will change, and that you are stuck where you are. But you are not stuck. You are not defeated. The moment you start speaking in faith, things begin to shift. Your mindset changes, your perspective changes. And when you believe that God is working, you begin to see his hand moving in ways you never imagined. Throughout history, those who received miracles were those who refused to let doubt steal their faith. The blind men who called out to Jesus did not stay quiet when people told them to be silent. They cried out even louder, saying, "Have mercy on us, Lord." And because of their persistent faith, Jesus healed them. The woman with the issue of blood did not let the crowd stop her from reaching out. She pressed forward, believing that if she could just touch his robe, she would be healed. And she was. In the same way, you must not allow doubt, fear, or delay to silence your faith. Speak life over your situation. Say, Lord, make a way with boldness. Say it knowing that he is already working, even if you can't see it yet. Say it with the expectation that doors will open, opportunities will come, and breakthroughs will happen. God does not ignore the prayers of his children. He hears every word. And when you speak in faith, heaven responds. So keep declaring, keep believing, and keep trusting. The doors that seemed closed forever will open. The obstacles that looked immovable will shift. And the path that once seemed impossible will be made clear. All you need to do is stand firm, declare his promises, and believe that the one who holds the universe in his hands is already making a way for you. My friends, the power of faithful words cannot be underestimated. When we declare, Lord, make a way, we are not just speaking into the air. We are calling upon the God who moves mountains, who parts seas, and who opens doors no one can shut. We are aligning our hearts with his promises, trusting that he is working behind the scenes even when we don't see it yet. So do not let fear, doubt, or delay silence you. Speak in faith. Pray with confidence. Believe that God's timing is perfect and that his plan for you is greater than anything you could ever imagine. When you feel like giving up, declare his goodness. When the path ahead looks uncertain, trust that he is guiding you. No door is too heavy, no wall is too high, and no obstacle is too great for the one who holds all things together. Keep speaking, keep believing, and watch as he makes a way in your life. Because when you call upon him in faith, all doors will open